One spoonful of used coffee grounds sprinkled right onto the soil of your Monstera can change the way that plant grows for the next several weeks. Not because of caffeine, not because of some viral trend, because of what's actually inside those grounds and how your Monstera's roots respond to it. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to do it right, how much is too much, and what to watch for over the next month. And I share plant tips like this every single week. Here's a scene you probably know too well. Your Monstera used to push out those big split leaves every few weeks. Now it's stalled. The new growth is smaller than the old growth, almost like the plant is shrinking instead of growing. Maybe the leaves have gone from a deep, glossy green to a pale, washed-out shade. Maybe you've noticed the soil drying out fast, then staying bone dry for days, like it's lost the ability to hold water the way it used to. You check the leaves closer. The edges look a little crispy. The color between the veins looks lighter than the veins themselves, almost yellow-green, like the plant is fading from the inside out. You give it water. You move it to a brighter spot. Nothing changes. This is one of the most common issues Monstera owners run into, and it almost always comes down to one thing hiding in that pot. The soil has run out of something your plant desperately needs. Here's what's actually happening under the surface. Every time you water your Monstera, you're not just hydrating it. You're slowly washing nutrients out of the soil, the same way rain washes minerals out of a hillside over time. This is called leaching. Every few waterings, a little more nitrogen, a little more of the good stuff, gets carried down and out through the drainage hole. Think of your Monstera's soil like a pantry. When you first potted it, that pantry was stocked. Nitrogen, potassium, trace minerals, all sitting there ready to be used. But your plant has been pulling from that pantry every single day to build new leaves, thicken stems, and grow roots. And every time you water, a bit more gets rinsed away too. Eventually, the shelves start looking bare. Nitrogen is the big one here. It's the nutrient your plant uses to build chlorophyll, which is the pigment that makes leaves green and lets them turn sunlight into energy. When nitrogen runs low, your Monstera can't make enough chlorophyll. That's why the leaves fade. That's why growth slows down. The plant is essentially rationing itself, putting out smaller leaves because it doesn't have the raw materials to build big ones. This is exactly why so many houseplants hit a wall after a year or two in the same soil. Even when watering and light haven't changed at all, the pantry's just empty. So how do you restock it without buying a bunch of synthetic fertilizer, without overcomplicating your routine, and without risking chemical burn on those roots? This is where a spoonful of used coffee grounds comes in. Used coffee grounds are packed with nitrogen, not the harsh, fast-release kind you get from synthetic fertilizer pellets. A slow, gentle kind that breaks down gradually as microbes in the soil work through it. That slow release matters because it means your Monstera gets a steady trickle of food instead of a sudden shock. But here's the part almost nobody tells you, and it's the part that determines whether this helps your plant or quietly hurts it. It's not just about tossing grounds on top and walking away. Fresh, wet grounds packed on the surface can clump, block airflow, and even encourage mold. Too much at once can throw off the soil's pH or attract gnats. The method matters just as much as the material. Get this part right and you're feeding your plant. Get it wrong and you're creating a whole new problem. Let's get into exactly how to do this the right way. Start with only used coffee grounds, never fresh, unbrewed grounds. Fresh grounds are far too acidic and too concentrated in caffeine, and they can actually damage your Monstera's roots. Used grounds, the kind left over after you've brewed a pot of coffee, have already had most of that acidity and caffeine washed out during brewing. Before you use them, let the grounds dry out completely. Spread them on a paper towel or a plate and leave them for a full day. Wet grounds clump together, and clumped grounds sitting on your soil is exactly what invites mold and fungus gnats. Dry grounds mix in cleanly and won't turn into a soggy mat. Once they're dry, take 1 level tablespoon of grounds. That's the spoonful we're talking about, and 1 is genuinely enough for a standard 6 to 10-inch pot. This isn't a case where more is better. Don't just dump the spoonful in one spot on top of the soil. Instead, gently work it into the top inch of soil, mixing it in rather than leaving it sitting on the surface. You can use a small hand fork, a chopstick, or even just your fingers. Mixing it in helps it break down evenly and keeps it from forming a crust on top that blocks water from soaking in properly. After you've mixed it in, water your Monstera like you normally would. This helps activate the microbes that will start breaking the grounds down and releasing that nitrogen into the soil where the roots can actually absorb it. Do this once every 4 to 6 weeks, not weekly. Coffee grounds are mild, but they still add up over time, and overdoing it can gradually shift your soil's pH to become more acidic than your Monstera prefers. A quick warning on that over-application point, because it's the mistake that trips people up the most. If you start seeing white, fuzzy mold on the soil surface, or if fungus gnats suddenly show up in numbers, you've used too much, too often, or the grounds weren't fully dried before you applied them. Scale back immediately if you see either of those signs. This method works especially well for monsteras, philodendrons, and pothos, since these are all fast-growing plants that burn through nitrogen quickly. It works less well for succulents, cacti, and other slow-growing, drought-adapted plants, since their root systems are more sensitive to extra organic matter and moisture retention. If you've got a cactus, skip this one entirely. Now let's talk about why this actually works on a biological level, because understanding the mechanism will help you use this method with confidence instead of just following steps blindly. Used coffee grounds are roughly 2% nitrogen by weight. That might sound small, but in the world of slow-release organic matter, that's a meaningful amount. This nitrogen isn't available to your plant instantly, though. It's locked up in organic compounds that need to be broken down first. This is where soil microbes come in. Your potting soil isn't just dirt. It's a living ecosystem of bacteria and fungi that are constantly breaking down organic material into forms plants can actually absorb. When you mix coffee grounds into the soil, you're essentially feeding those microbes a meal. As they digest the grounds, they convert the nitrogen locked inside into ammonium and eventually into nitrate, which is the form your Monstera's roots can actually pull in and use. This is fundamentally different from synthetic fertilizer, which usually delivers nitrogen in an already usable form immediately. That's why synthetic fertilizer can act fast but also burn roots if you use too much. Coffee grounds work on a delay because they depend on microbial activity, and that delay is actually a safety feature. It's much harder to overdose your plant with something that has to be broken down gradually. Coffee grounds also contain smaller amounts of potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and calcium. Potassium plays a role in regulating water movement within the plant and helps with overall stress resistance. Magnesium is a core building block of chlorophyll, right alongside nitrogen, so having both available together supports that healthy green color you're after. There's also a structural benefit here that people rarely mention. As coffee grounds break down, they add organic matter to the soil, which slightly improves how well the soil holds moisture and how loosely it's structured. Loose, well-structured soil means better airflow to the roots, and roots that get enough oxygen grow faster and stay healthier. On the acidity question, used coffee grounds are actually close to neutral, usually sitting around a pH of 6.5 to 6.8, not strongly acidic like people often assume. This is actually right in the sweet spot Monsteras prefer, which typically like slightly acidic to neutral soil. This is another reason used grounds specifically, not fresh grounds, are the right choice. If you want to get even more out of this routine, there are a few tricks worth pairing with it. First, try alternating coffee grounds with crushed eggshells every other feeding. Eggshells add calcium, which supports strong cell walls throughout the plant, complementing the nitrogen boost from the coffee grounds. Just make sure the eggshells are rinsed clean and crushed into small pieces first. Second, always feed after watering, not on completely dry soil. Nutrients move through moist soil far more effectively, and your Monstera's roots absorb them best when there's already water present to carry them. And here's an important one: never use coffee grounds as a substitute for good light. Nitrogen helps a plant use light more efficiently, but it can't replace light that isn't there in the first place. If your Monstera is sitting in a dim corner, feeding it more won't fix the real problem. Pair this method with bright, indirect light for it to actually make a difference. So what should you actually expect to see, and when? In the first week, don't expect dramatic changes. The microbes need time to start breaking down the grounds. What you might notice is the soil holding moisture slightly longer than before, since the added organic matter starts improving structure almost immediately. By week 2 to 3, this is usually when you'll start seeing the real signs. Look for a slight deepening in leaf color, especially in newer growth. If a new leaf was already forming, it may unfurl noticeably larger and greener than the last one. By week 4 to 6, you should see a clear difference between growth that happened before feeding and growth that happened after. Leaves should be fuller, greener, and closer to the size you'd expect from a healthy Monstera. If you're past the 2-week mark and you're seeing zero change, it's worth checking a few other things. Light levels are the most common culprit. After that, check whether the roots are cramped in a pot that's too small, since a root-bound plant can't take up nutrients efficiently no matter how well fed the soil is. So here's the one thing to remember. Once every 4 to 6 weeks, 1 dry, level tablespoon of used coffee grounds mixed gently into the top inch of soil, then watered in, is enough to keep your Monstera's nutrient pantry stocked and its growth steady. If this helped you understand what your Monstera's been trying to tell you, follow along for more tips like this every week. Drop a comment with what kind of plant you're growing and what problem you're dealing with right now. I read every one. And if you know someone whose Monstera has been stuck in a slump, send this their way. Next time, I'm breaking down the #1 watering mistake that's quietly killing more succulents than anything else.